Welcome to the show.
Who is your daddy?
I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
It's true. I do get paid too much.
You do? I do need you for editing. I don't do editing. That takes work.
I think you're totally capable of doing the editing. You're just like, oh, Tim, you're just so good at it. So you go ahead. You go ahead and handle it, pal.
There was like this life lesson I learned when I was younger.
Sure.
If you play stupid, other people will do your work for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's legit, so it's probably vodka advice you could use.
Well, we're using better lighting this time, so hopefully Jesse and others.
I mean, I'm only like a little square on my camera. I only have a small little square, but it looks like my face is like completely white. So.
Well, you are pretty white.
Jesse White asked for light, so he got a white face.
Exactly. See, that's perfect. All right.
So are we starting the show, or is this already the show and I actually legit did the intro?
Yep, this is the show. We are into episode 34. I got to pull up our notes so I know what we're talking about here. But yeah, we are recording a little bit early this week. It's just the way our schedules work out, okay? It's just the way it goes. So
I want to say something real quick before you go into your whole Tim Nestor-ness. I watched last week's show on YouTube, and I felt like with the way like I lean in and I'm low, and you're like upright and high, I felt like you were talking down to me the entire show.
Well,
which is rude, but it is what it is.
I mean, I don't want to. I'm not going to say one way or the other.
Like this. Listen, son. Deus Ex HR is trash, garbage trash.
I'm not going to say you're wrong or right. I'm just going to let you say it.
Well, I'm also going to let the viewers know that there will be no Emily in the background.
That
she is not here.
Was amazing.
She will not be. Yeah, I had no clue that was happening. She's not here.
I tried to kind of laugh and give you a signal, but since our video connection isn't always perfect, I think my warning to you looked like this.
Well, the other problem is when I get talking, I start doing this, and I'm just trying to think that I'm not paying attention to anything around me, so I had no clue.
Hey, that's all right. No problem. All right.
All right, so since I'm hosting this week, Tim, what have you been playing, man?
Well, I'll tell you about that as soon as I give a shout-out to someone real quick. I need to give a shout-out to Danny Lozano from our group. I haven't had a chance to talk much with Danny. I haven't interacted with him a ton in the group, but I am really glad he is part of the group because he offered up a free code for Halo Master Chief Collection, not the Master Chief Collector's Edition. I totally screwed that up last time. I re-listened to that. That was really bad. But he put up a code for a free copy of the Collector's Edition. We're talking 4 full games, if I'm understanding correctly what the collection is. Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4. Are there any other games included there?
Yeah, you get those 4, and then if you want to, I know you're cheap, so you'll probably say no, but you can buy ODST, I think, for $5 since you own the Master Chief Collection.
And I actually own Reach. It came with the 360 that I had to rebuy after my old 360 bit it. But anyway,
so technically, you could just play Halo for the rest of your life now.
I really could, and I have Danny to thank. So Danny, I don't know if you listen to the show. Hopefully you will this time because you get a shout out. But that was really awesome of you, and I know Sasan put his code up as well, which I think Andrew grabbed. So just really cool to see that kind of thing in our community. And, of course, for me, I got to reap the benefits this time. I don't usually jump and grab that kind of stuff. I like our members and our community to get that. But I was really excited. You sent me the note. You're like, dude, the Master Chief Collection is free right now if you grab this code. Yeah. And so I did. So thank you, Danny. And I guess thanks, Derek, for pointing it out to me. But
I did. I texted you like 9 times. I tagged you in the post.
Yeah, during work.
Hey, thanks, Danny. Thanks. Let's forget Derek.
Hey, my cup this week is just a normal cup. Just a normal.
So this show's gonna be manly this week. All right, that's good.
Yeah, it's just a normal, like, cheap throwaway plastic cup from our kitchen, not the whim. And by the way, that is a water bottle my wife takes to the gym, so you weren't wrong. All right. let's talk about what I've been playing. It's only been a few days since we last talked. We only talked like 4 days ago, maybe. But I have had more gaming time since then. And so
we've accomplished stuff, yeah.
We have, yeah. I've only played a little bit more of No Man's Sky, and we can talk about that here in a little while when we get to our main topic. But just a little bit of that. My kids still request it. So if it's time we're going to sit down and play a game, my kids love that game. They love seeing the new planets and flying and naming stuff and all that. So they like all that stuff. So I play it a little bit, but most of my time gaming this week so far has been spent playing Watch Dogs. And that's another game I want to talk about with our main topic. It's going to be about the first impression that games make, whether it's a good or bad first impression, and how that changes over the course of the experience. So I'll get to both of those games. They both apply to that discussion in different ways. So I won't talk too much more about those right now. And the other game I'm playing a lot, and I'll just admit this is a full DFC repentance right here, okay? Full DFC.
What is this?
Pokemon Go has still controlled our family. We still can't let go of this game. And I think here's the reason why. I was talking to my coworker about it today. He also plays. And I think if it were just me, if no one else in my family cared, if my kids didn't really want to see it and play with it, if my wife didn't have it on her phone and also, play it and kind of compete with me, I would have lost interest by now. Because it's not really a full-on game. It's more of a collection. And because my family is super into it, and just about every evening or weekend at least, there's a new Pokemon in the neighborhood that it's time for us to go out and find. It's still high on my list of interest right now, which is weird. It's really weird. I'm not usually into these kind of games for this long, but there you go. Pokemon Go is still holding on.
I actually understand that. I mean, I really thought Eli was going to get into it. Emily kind of got into it, but I think Emily's like me. Like, for stuff like this, like, she's like, oh, cool, and then just stops because she realizes it's stupid and she's more mature than Tim Nestor, apparently. No, but like, she didn't get into it that long. Eli didn't get into it at all. Not that he hated it, he just never. I thought it would be something he'd be like, Dad, can I borrow your phone? And he would be into it. He wasn't. So I deleted it after like 4 or 5 days, and I haven't thought about reinstalling.
To be fair, you gave your kids a chance to get into this with you, and they didn't want to. So what can you do?
Yeah, because I
All right, so that's what I've been playing, and I'll talk a little bit more about Watch Dogs and No Man's Sky in a little bit. So why don't we shift over to you? What have you been playing? And I think we all know, based on last week's episode, at least one game you've been playing for the last 48 hours or so.
Deus Ex, yeah. Freaking loved it. I told y'all last week my plan was to go to work early, get off early, and then just commit time to that. My time got ruined a little bit. Wife interfered, but overall I still got...
Did you say life interfered or wife interfered?
I used the W word.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just check over your shoulder, make sure she didn't get home yet.
Yeah, no. She knows. She found out about it because I actually kept it a secret. I wasn't telling her because I knew she'd be like, well, I need you to do this and I need you to do that. And so it came out because she was trying to make plans for yesterday. And then I finally was just like, look, I can do this because I'm going to be home anyways. And so, but anyways, I got to play, I ended up still getting to play about 6 hours, probably 5 or 6 hours yesterday.
Nice.
On launch day.
Wow.
For those who don't know, we're recording on Wednesday. So
by the way, this is Deus Trash Garbage Divided. Isn't that the name?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Correct. Yes.
Just making sure I got it.
This is a special edition. You had to pre-order it from DFC Games.
Sure.
So I got it from DFC. But anyways, it's really good. It really is. Y'all know how excited I was about Human Revolution. I did finish that, so I can technically talk about that a little bit. I did finish it Sunday night, Monday, something. I don't know. I think Sunday. And so it kind of hyped me more. Yeah. I was like, wow, I really just love this game. Like, I'm emotionally invested in this game, in this world. I think the reason I like it so much is I love the Matrix, and it's got like a Matrix vibe to it.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, even the way Jensen looks, he's got the shades, he's got dark features, he's tall and skinny like Keanu Reeves, and then he has all these special augmented powers that kind of make him supernatural. But played it for about 5 or 6 hours. It met all my expectations. I have 0 complaints at this point.
I've heard, though, that, and maybe this is just hyperbole from the internet, because that happens, but I've heard visually it's not quite as stunning as people expected. Is that in any way true?
Well, yes, I've had conversations with a few of our friends on Vodka.
Vodka.
Jesse White was the big one who came out and basically said, and I'm not exactly quoting him, but this is how a lot of people took it. He said something along the lines of, I've seen last gen games that look better.
Oh.
And after talking to him a little bit more, I understood what he was trying to say. He's not saying literally last gen games look better as a whole. He's talking about some of the character animations, some of the characters' faces. I 100% agree with that, because when you go up to a character and you start talking to them, we're so used to, at least in this gen, of seeing, like, you can see veins and facial hair, and you can see, like, if they shave, you can see the, stubs and all that stuff. This game lacks that type of polish. It's not like, it's almost like the skin is all the same everywhere.
Okay.
There's no blemishes. There's nothing. Of course, Jensen has facial hair. He looks good. Adam Jensen, the main character, they did him well. But everybody else is kind of a little off. And then some of the lip syncing's off. So, like,
That's not the only game this gen to have that issue, though. I mean, I always go back to Fallout 4. The way the mouths move in that game kind of ruined my first experience with it, because I was laughing so hard at how silly they looked.
It's kind of like Fallout to me.
Okay.
It's not that it's, like, god-awful off, but there's times if you stare, and I did this, I stared right at the guy's mouth. I was like, I'm just going to watch your mouth. And I was like, didn't match up right there. You're off. You're off again. That type of thing. So I was being kind of overly harsh. I think Jesse was in a way too. It's not a knock on him. Again, we absolutely love the game. Both of him and I had the same hype level, I think.
Yeah.
And he's been playing it a lot. I've been playing it a lot. It's really good.
Nice.
It's just so good. And it's got like that Mass Effect vibe to it as well, like taking cover and shooting. When you shoot the guns, they feel decent, but it feels like I'm playing an RPG shooter. It's kind of hard to explain, but you'll understand if you play it. It's just really well done.
I mean, some of the things you just described almost remind me of The Division. Does it play at all like The Division? RPG, cover-based shooter?
Division's way more RPG. Okay. Like, not just because numbers come off, but, like, you literally have to shoot some of those characters, like, 1,000 times
in the face
to get them to fall over. Yeah. This isn't like that. If you're playing as Adam Jensen and you get shot 3 or 4 times, you're probably going to die.
Okay.
This has that same effect, but it's just also like the animations, everything kind of has like a Mass Effect, a feel to it. It doesn't feel, I'm trying to think of even a Gears of War is a cover-based game that feels good when it shoots. It doesn't have that. It has more of an RPG feel.
Okay.
But it's really good. So I've been playing that. I also started, surprisingly, and I don't think I talked about this last week because I was still playing Human Revolution.
You didn't start this one when we talked last week. This is a new one for you.
No, I started from the very beginning. I started Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yes.
Now this I started, I believe, on Sunday.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, this is kind of funny because I started it, and and I'm not exaggerating to be like entertaining. I was like this the whole time in the intro. I hate this game. I was really like that. Yes, when I'm dragging on the floor for an hour and a half, I'm like, this thing is so stupid and annoying. Like, I already hated it the first time I had to go through this. Now,
but when the stuff starts to hit the fan, then it really becomes dramatic. I don't know. Yeah. I liked the slow of the beginning.
I understood why they do it, so it's not like I'm sitting there going, why would you do this, Kojima?
You were just like, move it along.
I know. It just felt so long. And again, part of it is, if Derek has a bad attitude, game sucks. If Derek has a open mind, there's a good shot he's going to like it. So in the beginning,
actually, just full disclosure, that's exactly how my wife is especially with movies and TV shows. If she already kind of has in her mind that I'm making her watch it, then she's already going to dislike it. And so we've been together for almost 12 years of marriage, almost 14 years of dating. And I said, by the way, that's combined. We haven't been together for 26 years. I'm not that old.
Took a long time, Tim, to commit.
Yeah, it did.
A long time.
It did. I am actually 60 years old. But I have learned over time, don't make her watch something she's not interested in. Now, if she kind of opens the door a little bit, just a crack, like, hey, maybe we could try watching that Batman movie, then I'm in. But like, if she doesn't want to watch it and it's my pick, I'm not going to ruin the experience for her and I. So she's kind of like you in that respect. If she already has in her mind, like, I don't want to do this, don't want to watch this, and for whatever reason, like maybe for you felt obligated because you bought it. I don't know.
It's confirmed I'm Tim's wife.
By the way, you're changing your last name. I am not becoming Tim Teague, okay?
Tim Teague. It's terrible. It is. It's terrible.
All right, so anyway, you're playing Metal Gear Solid 5. You made it through the opening this time. And your post said that you actually made it past where you were last time. So give us your thoughts overall so far.
The last time I updated, I got to, I think it was mission 6. And that mission starts you about 1,900 meters, I believe, away. So it's pretty far away.
Yeah. A lot of that, like, zoom in.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I remember when I played it originally, this is at launch, I got stuck on that because I kept dying. There's a lot of, guys in this certain area. And this is before you get to the actual mission, because between you and where you need to get is a bunch of bases. And so I ran into one base that had probably about 10 guys, but they're spread out everywhere. And I'm doing this in the daylight, and I'm getting angry because I'm like, well, first of all, who stealths in the middle of the day? This is a dumb game. Not even realizing you can pick night if you want.
Yeah, which I always did. Once I realized that, it was night for every mission from then on. Yeah.
I just kept doing day over and over. I'm going to just keep getting caught.
Why do they keep seeing me? It's broad daylight. What's going on?
I mean, I'm only running out in the middle.
Worst. You would be a horrible spy. All right, continue.
So I'm doing this, getting angry. Anyways, long story short, like I always do, I just died a lot, and I got tired of running because it was probably halfway to the place I was supposed to get to. So I had to run a lot, and yes, I used my horse, people, but it was still annoying, and so I gave up. Now, to kind of go off what you were saying, I'm coming back to it. I don't think I feel like I have to. I think it's because I enjoyed Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, and 4. 4 not so much as 2 and 3, but I enjoyed 2 and 3 a lot. I liked 4, so I consider myself a Metal Gear fan. I also can't complain about the gameplay. You can't play Metal Gear Solid 5 and be like, this play is terrible.
No,
the controls are bad.
I love the controls of that game, yeah.
But there's a couple things. Again, it's my attitude, but it's also minor things that I'll catch that I didn't catch the first time. Like, I didn't realize I can switch my controls up to shooter. That helped.
Oh, I never did that.
I didn't like the control schemes. And so when I selected shooter, I was like, oh, well, this is now this, and this is this. Okay, that works better.
Oh, nice.
There's only one button I don't like right now, and that's, I think, to run fast on the horse. I have to hit triangle.
Dude, I have to say this before I forget. I played Metal Gear Solid 5 right after The Witcher. I mean, I just finished The Witcher, months spent in The Witcher. And in The Witcher, the X button gets you on the horse. Am I remembering that correctly? I'm pretty sure the X button gets you on the horse. And and so you can be running at your horse and hit X, and you'll hop on there. So in Metal Gear Solid, running up to my horse, hit X, and you will dive, and you can tackle your horse. I don't know if you've done this before. I've tackled my horse 5 times in that game. So it's funny that you said you can change controls. Maybe that's a topic for another day. But I typically learn the controls for that game and just kind of stumble through it until I finally get, even if the controls.
That's how I always am.
Okay.
That's how I always am. Yeah. But I saw this. I wasn't even actively looking at it. I was just going through all the options just to see what, is there anything that I can tweak? And I came across controls, and I saw I could change it.
That's
and
awesome.
I normally never do. Most games have it where you can do it. I never do it. And I just looked, and when it said shooter, if it wouldn't have said shooter, if it would have just been like control version 2 or 3, I would have ignored it.
Yeah, because you got to try them all
out.
It
said shooter. Right. So I immediately looked. I'm like, okay, is left trigger this, right trigger that? Oh, okay, I like that. X is to get on your horse. I was like, I like that. So, all these little things that I'm used to, I was like, okay, there's only one button out of place. I can deal with this. But anyways, again, I'm going on way too long. Sorry. Metal Gear Solid 5, so far it's fun. I've gotten past the mission that I had originally quit. I beat that mission. I saw a cutscene. It's kind of interesting, a little weird. And then I've played a few missions after that. I think what my goal is, because I really want to dive into Deus Ex, and I don't know if I'll hold true to this, but I plan on doing this. I want to beat Mankind Divided and then immediately jump into New Game Plus. So I'm fully invested. I even looked at my calendar. I was like, okay, upcoming games. Resident Evil 4 is coming. That might distract me. But other than that, I've got a good solid 3 weeks before
We call
the
that
BioShock
nerd planning,
collection.
and I do that too. We call that
Nerd planning.
Nerd planning, yeah.
So I want to beat Deus Ex twice. But I also don't want to quit Metal Gear. So I think I'm going to try to do one mission a night of Metal Gear and then go straight into Deus Ex.
Wow. Okay. All right. Metal Gear Solid 5 is so good. Oh.
Now, you wrote the notes and you said baby's first video game. I don't even know what that is.
I just assumed maybe you were playing baby's first.
No, Tim, I don't know what that is. You don't even know what that is.
Shut up.
You just...
Shut up.
You copied it and pasted it off somewhere. Baby's first video game.
That was a fail. That was a joke fail.
Hey,
it was actually a holding
I've
place.
had some fail jokes. I've had some major fail jokes. Like when I was talking to myself, pretending it was my wife on Facebook, and this is in the file.
I remember that, and people were like...
And I text messaged Tim, and I'm like, all these people think my wife, Megan, is in the group and has blocked them.
Either that, or some people thought that maybe it was not your wife, but someone else who was kind of just ribbing with you, and thought that that person had blocked them. So everyone started to wonder who blocked me,
like,
and it was just you.
And then I wrote in there, I was like, yeah, Megan blocked everybody. She doesn't like any of y'all. She's in the group and only sees my posts. She might block me.
Our wives aren't in the group, you guys. They're not in there.
Not
I even mentioned to my wife, like, hey, if you want to jump in the group, you can. And then she kind of, before I could finish the sentence, she was like, no. So she was like, oh, you're nerd group with other nerd dads? No. All right. Well, she's nerdy too. Whatever. She plays Pokemon Go. If she were here, I would tell her that. Like, you're a nerd too.
Go back to your cooking groups.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, that's right.
or whatever.
Go back to your exercise, loser. Okay. So speaking of wives, I wanted to ask you this question. And you know what? This might be one of those things that we decide it's a bigger topic for later, but this is just interesting because it happened to me this past weekend. Does your wife, and I guess maybe your kids too, but does your wife kind of, there's a nonverbal, whether it's a look or maybe it's one of those things where they walk slowly in front of the TV screen, do they give you cues or clues that I better shut this off or this is going to go downhill fast?
I get the sense, and I obviously expect you to answer it, that your wife is the type that's like drops clues and then probably eventually comes out and says, hey, you idiot, this is what I was trying to say. My wife just is direct and will walk in a room and just be like, video games. I hate your video games. And then leave the room. I'm like, what? What did I do? I'm like, oh, 9 kids are jumping on her and screaming and yelling, and I'm in there like, Metal Gear Solid 5.
You know what? It's worse, though, when I'm playing a game where I'm talking online to somebody, and I'm just having the time of my life. I'm laughing, I'm joking. She can only hear my half of the conversation, and she's dealing with all the dishes and the kids, and, you know, so-and-so just pooped on the floor, and he just threw Johnny out the window, and whatever crazy stuff's happening, and I'm there just like, yeah, that is funny. Let's play Rocket League. And I'm just, like, having the time of my life. That doesn't usually go super well. So for those of you who do, if we ever game together, and if it's before 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so for you East Coasters, that's 10 p.m., I'm probably not going to be on mic. I might, but probably won't be, and that's not because I don't like you. It might be.
It's because you don't like
It might be because of that. But it's also because I got kids running around, and I could talk to you, and you probably won't mind a kid voice every once in a while, but my wife will also start giving me the look. So for me, and you cut out for a little bit there. I couldn't hear what you were saying, but for me, my wife gives me the look, or she'll start doing cleanup all around the TV. So, like, the entertainment unit, something on the floor, she'll just keep, like, going in front and trying to, like, do stuff that's right within my peripheral cone of vision. And so, like, I'm constantly just, like, leaning over this way, like, still playing, and then I'll lean this way, you know, still playing.
Trying to hit that shot.
Yeah, yeah. And then, of course, I think the worst look I ever got was when she was having a horrible, horrible, horrible day, and for some dumb reason I decided, I'll come home from work and fire up a game of Rocket League. That's a great idea.
That's a good idea.
And so I'm playing Rocket League. I'm talking with friends. I'm laughing my head off, and she's having a horrible day. I could tell the kids were all being crazy, and I forget exactly, what happened, but I do know that she just stopped what she was doing and just looked at me, and didn't look away. And I don't remember who I was playing with. It might have been you. I don't know. I just quietly turned it off and turned the TV off and just put it down and just walked into the kitchen and started helping to clean up. Like, it just, Yeah, that cue was very strong. Yeah, it was very strong.
Yeah, so I just get the direct. It's usually I hate your games, and then
I've never
after
gotten that before, but I'm sure
Yeah.
that thought has certainly crossed her mind.
And sometimes it is my fault, and other times I think she's being petty. But a lot of times it'll be, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, where I'm like, dude, you've told the kids what to do, and you have this like false sense of control that they're actually doing it, and they're not. And so I'll just be like, Rocket League. And then I'm into the game, and then Megan comes walking in, and it's just like, Eli's wiping his butt on the couch. Ian's whining in the room, and Emily is on her phone.
And you're like, and?
I'm like, I told her.
You know
and
what's
I'll
funny?
say something like,
I have heard the
told him to
first
take a
half
bath.
of those conversations that you have had with Megan, with your wife, because we've been on the Rocket League, for example, or any other game, and I've heard you start the conversation and start to react to whatever she just said, something similar to that, and then all of a sudden your mic clicks off. I can hear you turn it off as you go into the conversation. I'm like, oh, crap.
Well, that's where I verbally rip into her and tell her she's garbage, trash garbage.
I mean, I believe you, but also I don't, there's no evidence. As far as I know, you could be like, okay, honey, no problem. I'm so sorry. I played
Most
games."
times, I'm a human. So there are times where I'm angry and I'm just like, you're being petty. You're getting on my nerves. But most times I'm like, I'm sorry, honey. I wasn't paying attention or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it happens. But
No, I'm. I
better.
default to. I default to the apologetic mode, but then a lot of times later, if I handled it right, then that frees me up to play some later too. So it's kind of, you know what? It's the same skills you learn as a kid with your parents. Now, some teenagers don't care and they'll do whatever they want, and they're bad kids, probably have bad parents. But as a kid, as you're trying to play your parents, especially like your mom, when she's trying to get you to turn the TV off, turn the game off, you play the same games, and it's a little bit different, but it's kind of the same games with your wife a little bit. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Where
I hope she doesn't watch this podcast.
My wife?
I'm confident she doesn't, but I just hope she
You're talking about Katie? Talking about my wife?
Yeah, she'll be like, he's playing me. Never again.
Yeah.
Never again.
We'll see who plays who. All right.
We're doing a 10K a week after the 5K.
Oh, can I just say, my left knee is still come and go, like with the pain, like right in that inside of my knee, just south of the kneecap. Right on the inside there, it hurts. I think it's because there's a lot more hills around here, and it really only hurts on the decline as I'm heading down. Something about the impact of the way I'm landing, especially with that left knee, has really made that sore. But icing it and keeping it elevated has helped quite a bit. So anyway, all right.
Wow, I was really worried about your knee.
I could tell. I could see it in your eyes. All right, a couple things I want to talk about that have been announced recently in terms of headlines. The first one affects most of our listeners. Most of you guys play on PlayStation consoles of some sort. But PS Plus is increasing its subscription price. And basically the announcement says that starting on September 22nd, you can get your 12-month plan for $59.99. You can get a 3-month plan for $24.99. And the monthly plan remains at $9.99. So let me just give you an idea of how bad I am with keeping really close track of budget of money. I forgot how much it cost in the first place. Like if you would have told me, no, it costs $60 a year, I would have been like, oh, okay. I would have believed you. Like I had forgotten how much a year subscription costs. So this doesn't really affect me, probably just because I'm just so incredibly wealthy. But I'm really not.
Then start buying more games from me.
I'm not so incredibly wealthy, but I didn't really realize how much it cost in the first place. What's the increase here? I didn't look it up. How much was it before? Was it 50 and now it's 60?
50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Xbox
Does this
was
impact you? Do you
50
think this
and
is
then
like a
went
big
to-
deal?
It's not. I reacted negatively, and a lot of people that had a problem with how I reacted is because they didn't understand. They, first of all, are only playing on their PlayStation. So it going from 50, 60 is not a big deal because they're like, oh, it's $10 more. They only pay that once a year.
Right.
I'm paying for Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, me too.
That's $120. I'm not a big fan. I wasn't happy when Microsoft raised the price. I think Microsoft does more to their service than Sony. Do I think Sony's getting better? Yes. But it's what's going to stop them? Eventually, in 2 years, they're going to announce it's going to 70. and 80. And they are going to keep doing it. I'm not saying they're going to get to 1,000 or something like that, but they won't go crazy. But they're going to keep increasing it, and it kind of gets old. So the whole, I'm fine with it. Fine, I guess you're fine with it. I'm not. I haven't decided whether I'm going to renew it or not.
I don't think that's the way the marketplace will work. I mean, think about something like Netflix. Netflix was the only company that was doing what it was doing at the quality it was doing it, and so it seemed to me like the price was going to keep going up. And they've increased their prices once. I think it was last year the price went up.
They got bad pushback.
And they did get bad pushback, but they didn't lose customers. So their value stayed up, their income stayed way up. Anyway, the point of that being, there's plenty of other options to Netflix now. I mean, there's smaller name ones that a lot of you guys haven't even heard of before, I'm sure. But then there's the bigger name ones like Hulu and Amazon Prime, and there's plenty of these other services, and even HBO. And some of these channels are offering their own individual agreements that you can pay $10, $15 a month, and you get access to all this content. So Netflix has competitors coming out their ears. Like they are completely swamped with competitors, and that's one thing that Sony and Microsoft are lacking in this online gaming space right now, is a competitor that has something similar. So I'm not too worried about it for a couple reasons. The main one being, I think Sony and Microsoft will keep each other in check with that price. I do think prices will naturally go up no matter what, but I just don't think it's going to be at that rapid of a pace for me to be that concerned. So maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm missing it there, but I just don't fear the marketplace when it comes to that stuff right now.
My big thing is if you're going to announce a $10 increase, then like announce it with like, but we're adding this or we're doing this, and they didn't do that. And Microsoft didn't do it either. And so, yes, I understand they're giving away free games and all that stuff, but I don't know, $60 a month is a lot. Netflix, you're talking $8 to $10. This, you're talking not $60 a month, but $60 a year. And I try not to pay for it monthly. I know you can do it $10 a month like you would do Netflix.
That's a lot. $120 a year would be crazy.
That's my issue, is I hate paying for it all at once. Oh, kid's home. Good Lord. You're live. Say hi. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. So, yeah, so it's not that big of a deal, but I'm not extremely happy about it. I don't ever like an increase, especially if you're not going to announce something with it. Like, what are we going to get?
I don't really care that much about it right now.
3?
But if you guys care about it and think I should, go ahead and try to convince me. I'm open to listening to arguments that convince me I should care about this as a Sony customer, who I think I've been very happy with what they've offered, both in terms of their online services and the PS Plus games that they have on offer. For as long as I'm subscribed, I can play those. I'm fine with it right now. So, all right, let's get to the next piece of news.
Okay, hold on. Ian, sweetie, you can't sing. You can't.
You can,
you
though.
Just have to get out.
You can.
You can outside.
Bruh.
Bye, bruh. I have a feeling Eli will be in here in a second.
Yep, this is where the show gets interesting. Everyone's been bored up to this point. This is where it gets good.
All
right,
yes,
so
Derek's kids are home.
Big news in exclusive games, and that is The Witness is coming to Xbox One on September 13th.
No one cares.
And let's see, here's your note. You say no one cares. GTFO. What does that mean? Get this fantastic one? Is that what that means?
Yeah, get this one. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I spelled it
so
wrong.
the reason I made sure to include this is because I think it's interesting that the two indie darlings from each main console that seemed to be the exclusive indie game, Inside and The Witness. Those were the big ones that were coming to each individual console as exclusives, at the very least timed exclusives. They both had very quick turnarounds within the same year that the other console gets it. So I'm glad to see that. I haven't played The Witness yet. We've already talked about this. I plan on it. I want to play it. I did play Inside. It's weird. It's cool. So whatever. It's just interesting, though, that exclusive no longer means exclusive in some cases anymore.
No.
All right. Now, I am not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but I know some of our listeners, some of our community members are. So I just wanted to mention this really quickly. I thought it was kind of interesting. They just recently announced this new, what are they calling it? Is it called the Ultimate Lord of the Rings fan bundle? It might be called something else. It's this 30-disc.
That's what you put. I don't know.
It's this 30-disc bundle that is going to, well, I'll tell you what it costs in just a second. You can buy every Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movie. So that would be, is that 6 movies?
Okay.
Okay. It's the extended
Yes.
edition. So if you guys know that they put out the extended editions of the original LOTR movies, it comes with all of the books, and this is having trouble loading, so I can't read it to you. So I'm just kind of going off memory here. It comes with tons of collectible type stuff, maps, and all sorts of stuff. Let me see if I can get this to load up. Okay, here we go. It's called the Middle-earth Limited Collector's Edition. Middle-earth Limited Collector's Edition. It costs $720. So that's years of PlayStation Plus subscriptions right there.
Man,
Yeah.
that sounds terrible.
I'm trying to load GameSpot right now, and it is not loading. So anyway, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, this is coming
Probably
out.
mad at you for doing a video recording while trying to load it.
It probably is. So anyway, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, go check out that bundle if you've got some money to spend, or if someone that you know and love has a birthday or Christmas present that you're looking for and you've got the money to spend, then that would be an amazing one.
I like Lord of the Rings, but no.
Do you own the movies?
I think I own some of them digitally, but most of them I owned them through like my brother or something when we lived together in the house. But
I only own the Lord of the Rings movies, the ones from not the non-Hobbit ones, basically, and I only have them on DVD. So I don't have. So like, if this were a lot cheaper, and if I were a much bigger Lord of the Rings fan, or maybe if the Hobbit movies had been a lot better than I thought they were, then I'd consider something like this. But anyway, just thought I'd throw it out there. I know
I'm actually
we've
the
got some.
opposite.
You like the Hobbit movies?
Yeah, I bought both of them in 3D.
No, bad choice, bad decision.
I liked them.
All right.
I liked them.
Last little headline here. It's actually a rumor. I wanted to see what you thought about this. There's a rumor going out about a bunch of details for the Nintendo NX yet again. The biggest one that I thought was interesting and might have some weight to it, I think, is that the Nintendo NX is going to be named the Nintendo Focus.
Makes sense for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, let's set aside the other rumors about launch titles and launch window titles, all that. Tell me what you think about the name Nintendo Focus.
I liked, I think it was Daniel Fritos who said he was making fun of like the Ford Focus. He was like the driving in your new Nintendo Focus console. I like it. I like it maybe because I'm reading into it as in this is Nintendo saying we are focused on this system because this system is going to be home and handheld, which allows us, Nintendo, to focus on only it and focus on the fans, focus on games. See how I'm going here? Focus. Right. So I like it. It wouldn't be a name I'd pick. I would prefer like Nintendo Revolution or Nintendo NX or something like that. I like those names better, but Focus is good.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that they would just end up naming it the NX without the word Nintendo on it at all. I thought it would just be called NX, but I like Focus, and for the exact same reasons that you just said, that's why I think they're going with it, and that is it is no longer going to be... They always used to talk about multiple pillars of their business. You know, we've got handheld, we've got the... They used to have 3 pillars, and I can't remember what they were. But the rumors were that it was going to be 3DS or whatever its successor is, their new home console, and then mobile was going to be their new pillar of their business. But now it seems more like they're really going to focus in on one device, which is great. Because, again, another rumor from a while ago said all their mobile games, their first-party mobile games, are going to be playable on their new system. So, is that what focus means? Is it something that covers the whole gamut of everything Nintendo will put out for the foreseeable future? Maybe. That'd be cool. So hopefully. I like the rumors that I've heard so far, but it sounds like we are still about a month away from anything definitive. It sounds like September 21st, I think, was a date listed.
I think September 21st we'll find out about that. And then Sony has something, I think September 7th, where we'll find out more information on the Neo. So there's a lot of things. Like, I originally wanted an Xbox One S, and I've actually even started recently thinking about getting it, but then I'm like, no, you need to wait until September, because that's where a lot of news is going to drop. And as much as I would want a 1S or even a Neo, if Neo is more powerful and has 4K and stuff like that, an NX or Focus should be my focus if they launch or release news that it really is as good as I'm hoping it is.
Yeah, now, the more we're just calling it the Focus, that might not be the name, but if it is, I like it. I'm on board with that name. That's cool. It's
I'm fine with it, yeah.
way better than Wii U. I eventually came around on
Wii and Wii U.
Well, I came around on the Nintendo Wii. It was unique. It kind of fit even the two eyes kind of looked like the two remotes that you use. Like I came around on the Nintendo Wii, but the fact they named the follow-up the Wii U, and it was totally unclear why it was any different.
Wii U.
It was so
It is smelly in here.
Poop jokes. Okay,
Dad
let's
jokes.
talk about first impressions. Good and bad first impressions.
What
This
were
is our
your
main topic.
first impressions of me, Tim Nestor?
You really want to know?
Oh, I already know. You hated me like most people. I'm a jerk online.
You were
And in
you were
real life.
confusing. I don't know if I hated you, but I was like, I knew that you weren't very nice. That's all I knew. I was like, I kind of had put people in these buckets of like I remember thinking that John Martin was super nice and super relaxed, and now he's crazy. But
Hey.
hey. All right. And crazy in a good way, by the way. For those who don't know, I like John a lot. I love talking with John. We had some great chats. But yeah, no, I thought he was always the rational, like settling disputes all the time. And now I see him hanging around. Like I feel like we're a better group of friends now than we were before, and bigger groups like Beyond. And now he's a little more of a troll / good friend. Like he does like to troll people a little bit. Let's be honest. He likes to poke and prod a little bit. So, but for you, my first impression of you was you just like to give people a hard time, and I couldn't tell if it was real, if that was just your personality, or if it was a persona. So I didn't know. I thought the same thing about our buddy Frank Clark. I wasn't sure what his deal was, but it turns out
Frank.
I hate to admit this. It turns out you guys are both kind of cool, I guess. What Frank is, all right. Frank's cool.
Frank's all right.
Frank's all right. So anyway, no. But first impressions of people. In addition to, we're going to talk about games, of course, but you only get one chance at a first impression. I know that I've met some people that my first impression of them was not good. You know, this person is maybe lazy, maybe they're rude, maybe the first thing I hear out of their mouth is some kind of super inappropriate, quasi-racist joke or something. And then it's hard not to get them out of that bucket, but over time, of course, spend time with them, get to know them, you can discover, hey, you know what, this is actually what they're like over here. My first impression was wrong. There are other times when your first impression of someone is they're hilarious, they're great, they're fun, they're nice, I like this person, but then over time you realize that was a facade, they're actually kind of a crappy person. So that happens too. And so that I want to keep it a little bit lighter than that. I don't want to go through the list of our entire community and start breaking them down. We don't have to do that right now. Maybe later.
I can do that. I'm ready.
Maybe later.
I've got my knives out. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, maybe later. But I want to talk about video games when it comes to first impressions. And I'll give you an example of each of these for myself before we jump over to you.
Let's do one apiece. Like you do one that started out bad but got better, and then one that started out great but then maybe felt like it dragged on or sucked towards the end.
Okay. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I like about video game discussions, in addition to TV show and movie discussions as well. But video games in particular, there's something about that experience of a video game that kind of walks you through this whole experience. You're playing it. You're part of the story in many cases. And some games give off a great first impression. And the example I'll give you for that would be Uncharted 1. Uncharted 1 had a great first impression. It was very movie-like, especially for when it released. What was that, 2007 maybe? That Uncharted 1 came out? It was one of a kind. So it was like a movie experience. It was like a big blockbuster with these big action set pieces. But as the game progressed, I'm not saying the story got worse. I actually liked the story of Uncharted 1. But the gameplay started to really wear on me. It was just run to another area, hide behind a crate, and then just infinite number of guys will come out, and then eventually once you kill them all, the door or the key to the door or whatever becomes available, and you can move on to the next area. Hide behind another crate, and then so on and so forth. That's how that game progresses. So for me, Uncharted 1's a great example of a game that had a great first impression, but turned out to be not all that amazing from start to finish. What about you?
And I think when you played it may have impacted that as well.
Maybe.
But yeah, I'm going to say that because you've offended me by saying Uncharted 1. I'm upset.
Can't even
For
look
me,
at you. Ugh.
I can't even look at you. What games has a great first impression? I would say Quantum Break. I was really excited for that game, and it started off good. It's not that it's a bad game. It's not. Um, but it was like one of those, when I finally finished it, I was like, that was not as good as I thought it was going to be. Because I actually had plans. This is why Mankind Divided could change my whole. I want to play it back to back. I actually had plans to play Quantum Break back to back too,
Yeah, that's
because
right. You said
that's
that.
a game of choice. It has choices that you can make, and they make it pretty easy to go. Oh, I picked this one last time, so let me pick this one this time and see how it plays out. But by the time I finished the first playthrough, I was like, no, I don't even know if I'm ever going to go back to you. But for
Was
right
it the
now,
boss fight that I keep hearing about? Did that ruin
the
it for
boss
you?
fight was annoying, but even just everything overall just wasn't as good as I had hoped. It's still, again, a good game.
Right.
It just wasn't what I really hoped it was going to be an Uncharted level of game. Like that quality, and it just wasn't for me. It was good, it just wasn't that
Okay.
good.
And the thing about these first impression discussions is it doesn't mean that the game had to become amazing after seeming bad at first, or it didn't have to go into full TGT realm after that. So Uncharted 1 and maybe Quantum Break for you, Uncharted 1 for me at least, did not go into full garbage territory.
No,
it definitely didn't. But man, I was ready for that game to be over, and it's not even that long of a game. But by the time I got to the final few showdowns, I was like, can you just show me all the cutscenes from here to the end? Because I want to see what happens, but I don't want to keep shooting this room full of guys over and over again. That's why I loved Uncharted 2 and 3. I thought they took it to the next level and beyond. So anyway, I digress. The next one that I would pick that had a great first impression that ended up wearing on me, and I'll just mention this one briefly. It's an old school N64 shooter called Turok.
Yeah, I played that one.
Turok was a fun game. Really cool premise where you're basically this kind of Native American style hero who's got a bow and arrow, and you can of course upgrade that. You get crazy guns in that game. It gets really fun, but it wore on me. It really wore me down after a while. So by the time Turok ended, I was ready for it to end. So great first impression, but then even back in the day when everything visually was pretty impressive, like for our eyes, we thought everything looked good for the most part that came out. That one, after a while, I realized it's just foggy everywhere because they can't. The game won't actually render the entire environment, so it's foggy everywhere, and then all the floors and the walls looked the same after a while. I thought Turok wore on me after a while. What about you?
For me, I would say, and I actually talked about this game today. It's probably what helped me remind me of it. Mad Max. I started that game twice, and I had nothing but good things to say about it. And I still do. It's a fun game. It's fun to play. Just for me, I think it was a combination of the map was like over flooded with stuff to do in a not good way. Like The Witcher has a lot to do, but this game was like absolutely confusing with how much stuff they put on there. Plus, it doesn't have like a story that you're like, I need to know what happens to Max. It was kind of bland, and the game's set in one location, a desert.
You know who disagrees with you though is Colin Moriarty from Kind of Funny. He thinks it's he thinks it's better than
Game
Witcher
of the
3.
century,
He thinks
didn't he
it's
say?
better than what was the other one? Oh, Metal Gear Solid 5, way better than both those games.
Yeah,
Sure.
they are. It's definitely better. No, but it is a good game, and the exact quote I said is it was solid, and then you said, but is it Metal Gear Solid?
Hashtag
Dad
dad
jokes.
jokes. All right.
So it's decent, but it's not amazing. I'll keep playing it.
I've been given a warning. I've got about maybe 10, 15 minutes until my house explodes with noise. My wife's coming home from the gym with all the kids. So
my
just so you know.
house is already making noise.
Yeah,
People
I know.
are gonna hear my wife.
I know, but I got no door to close. I'm actually sitting in our dining room, and they're going to come walking in the front door. I can see the front door from here, and it's just going to be crazy. What am I going to do? Tell my wife, get them upstairs. Keep them quiet. It's not going to work.
You could just give her the stare.
Can I give her the look? Nope, it's not going to work. I can feel it's not going to work.
I think it will work.
All right,
Try
let me give you one more game that's very recent that had a great first impression for me after I kind of got the swing of things. That since has kind of my excitement has died down, and that is No Man's Sky. It's still gonna be on my list of some of my favorite games of the year, but I can't objectively and honestly say it is the best game I've played this year. It's just totally new. It's totally unique, and so I like it for that. But I have a much more kind of open-minded opinion of it, or view of it now, where the gameplay loop is just, it's not the most amazing thing. So
yeah,
it's worn me down a little bit. I still appreciate it. I put a lot of time into it. I'll probably still play it a little bit more because my kids like it a lot. But better first impression than final thoughts.
this recording is going to be great at the end, just so you know. I've got,
is that because of the wrestling match happening behind you?
Yeah, this is going to be great. Yeah. My last one would be Overwatch. Definitely a good game, so it has nothing to do with quality of game. It's a great game.
Is it because I never played with you? Is that the problem?
Yeah. It was like fun for, I think I put a good solid 12 hours in, which for me, multiplayer
that's good for multiplayer, yeah.
is good, but
yeah.
after that I was like, I have no desire to play this anymore.
Oh my goodness.
So
I wonder what our hour
off.
count for either one of us would be on Rocket League. I was just thinking of multiplayer hours spent. Like the hour count on a game like that would be insane.
I mean, I think what it was for Overwatch is it couldn't compete with Battleborn, Game of the Century.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And,
of course.
Well, yeah, hashtag Game of the Year, hashtag Game of the Century, hashtag Game of the Universe. Destroyed Overwatch.
That's another GTFO, right? Get this fantastic one. Yeah.
Sasan's still texting me. Now he has my phone number. He's not just on PSN. He's got my phone number. Somebody gave him my number, and he's like, "Hey, bro."
Does he just say Battleborn ? Isn't that all he says?
No, it's "Hey, bro, Battleborn ? Bitch."
That's awesome.
So yeah, he asks me and then calls me an itch with a B. So he's rude, but yeah, I think that was it. It was good, but it faded for me. But again, it was multiplayer. It's not a surprise.
All right, let's talk about games that had a mediocre, maybe even bad first impression that ended up being good games. I'll give you two at a time. And one of them, I'll kind of say with some hesitance because I haven't actually gone back to it, but I know I would probably enjoy it after you and I have talked. Fallout 4. Fallout 4 had a bad first impression for me. I feel like given the time and actually giving that game its due, I would enjoy it. So it had a bad first impression for me. We talked about the animations and just kind of the overwhelming number of gameplay systems that they try to introduce.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
I wasn't ready for it, but I do think that game would end up being a great experience for me. Another example I'll give would be Watch Dogs, which I'm playing right now. I wouldn't say it was a bad first impression, but it falls under the mediocre first impression category. It felt like Grand Theft Auto's, younger cousin who's trying to be just as cool as him, but he's not. He just wasn't quite getting it done. The driving wasn't quite as fun. The acting, the writing, the visuals, none of it was quite up to snuff for what I wanted from a GTA game. Even the hacking little mini games just weren't quite doing it for me. But now we've gotten to the point in the game. I'm almost to Act 4. The story's pretty interesting. I think Aiden's a super boring character, but the story's pretty interesting. And some of the missions have gotten really fun. Really unique, really, really well designed. So Watch Dogs for me started at, in that between 5 to 7 range. Like, this is okay, but not amazing. And now it's much more up at that 7 to 8, maybe 8.5 range. I'm really enjoying it now. So I'm going to finish that game.
Sweet. I was hoping you would like it because I obviously liked it a lot. I even liked it more than Grand Theft Auto 5.
Well, my favorite missions so far are the ones when I love hacking the cameras and scoping out the area before you go in to take everybody down, and using the explosives and using their phones against them. I really like the ones also where you're guiding someone through an area because I feel like I'm that mysterious person in the movie who calls to help out the hero and you don't know who it is. You're like, I'm Morpheus calling Neo at the beginning of Matrix, basically. It's really cool to be like, no, wait, okay, now go. I like that a lot.
So maybe while I play Deus Ex Mankind Divided, you can call me on the cell phone and guide me as I play.
I will do that. Yeah.
Okay. I'll do
Derek,
too
as well. Turn it off and unplug it. Now go put it in the garbage. Now go outside.
And admit your trailer. TGT. So one of mine is actually Fallout 3. I don't know if I shared the story on our podcast. I'm not going to, but it was a rough go with that game. I bought and resold that game, or actually had my friend give it to me a couple times, and I sold it without his authorization. That's how bad it was for me. I think I had to try 4 times.
You're like, hey, listen, I know this is your game, but it was so bad I sold it.
Well, he was so into the game. he wanted me to like it because he knew I had rented it from GameFly and was like, nope. And part of it was because, like you said with Fallout 4, I was overwhelmed by all the systems and I kept dying, and I was like, screw this. I just keep dying. And finally, he gave me a copy. I sold it because I couldn't get into it again because I thought I owned it. And then he later told me, he was like, I was just letting you borrow that. That's like one of my favorite games, dude. Why'd you sell it?
That's awesome.
So he then rebought it back, gave me another copy, and he's like, I'm giving you this one. So then I felt like I had permission to sell it. Long story short, I bought it back on the PlayStation 3. I bought the Game of the Year edition. It was like $10 or something. Got into it and just lost myself for like 40 or 50 hours. Beat the game. Loved it. The Witcher 2. Bought it on day one for the Xbox 360.
Yep.
Sold it within like a week because again, same story.
Yeah.
Sucked. Couldn't figure it out.
Me
and
too.
The Witcher's not an easy game.
That was one of mine too, is The Witcher 2. Totally. Yep.
It beat the hell out of me. And
even the tutorial at the beginning, they're like, just do this to beat these guys that are easy. We made them all easy for you. I was losing in the tutorial. I was like, this game is the worst. Why do I suck
I was
so
like,
bad?
I hate this game. I don't remember what got me to buy it back, but I did, obviously, and loved it. Once I figured it out and started to get lost in it, it's an absolutely amazing game. So both of the games started out terrible, but became amazing. I'll go ahead and I'm just going to list them all off because I don't want to talk about them too long and we got to wrap up. Metal Gear Solid 2. Now, I played this late. I didn't play it like when it was released. I played it like probably 4 years ago, and I was like this was my face. This is stupid. Like this is the way the character moved. The level design of the way you were viewing your character was just different than what I was used to.
Yeah.
And then I gave it an honest chance, opened my mind, and it's my favorite Metal Gear game.
It's a good one.
Unless 5 passes it. And then Metal Gear Solid 5 is obviously going to be one of those because I hated it. And so far, again, I'm not real deep into it. I love it. Hey, thanks for yelling on my podcast, jerk. And then my last one is Knights of the Old Republic. And here's why.
I had no idea that you ever thought any negative thoughts about KOTOR.
Well, this is Cooter. It's Cooter.
Is it, though?
That's what my wife calls it. She's like, Cooter, are you going to play Cooter? I'm like, shut up. It's KOTOR. So anyways, I remember having this conversation with my brother. It's a big, oh my, that's naked. We got to edit that out. Holy naked Eli. Oh my. Baby, I'm almost done. Let's not come in naked. Mr. Nestor just saw your willy willy. I told you, if I record with them,
if I didn't already have kids that do that kind of stuff all the time, that probably would have scarred me from ever having kids. But
Eli, I'm seriously almost done.
That's gonna be the thumbnail for this week's episode.
Just a picture of it.
I'll just blur it off. Oh, jeez.
He's still gonna do it. Oh, I love you. I love you, Eli.
Wait, you can see me?
Yeah, you're on my little square, but now I can't see you. You're good. All right, so I'm going to try to answer this. So Knights of the Old Republic was coming out. My brother's a big Star Wars fan, and I liked Star Wars, but I'm not a huge fan, and I was interested. And here's why. It's because I was reading about the game. About the game, and I heard how it was like kind of like an open world for back then. What would be considered? Stop. Seriously, stop. And so it was like an open type world, and you're gonna have to edit all that out.
This is hilarious.
This is a train wreck.
This is amazing.
You're gonna promise you're gonna stop doing that?
I didn't know
This is,
you
by
were
the way,
recording.
Tim, this is the one that drives me nuts. I love you.
I didn't know you were recording.
And that's okay, but you're like popping a balloon in my face while I'm talking.
Well, you laughed at me.
Oh, you're a sweet boy, but stop. All right, so try to edit me in now. So yes, Knights of the Old Republic. I read about it. I thought it was like kind of an open world type game. Stop, please.
You made fun of me.
No, I didn't. Stop. You're making a lot of noise with that balloon. You can't touch the balloon. Just get dressed.
Calm down.
Oh my gosh. Just edit it out. Knights of the Republic, it's in there. God dang it, I give up.
How am I gonna get past?
You figure out what's allowed to be in there. Just get his
I
wiener
will.
off the show. Get out of here now.
I'm trying.
This is going to be one of the funniest edits I've ever done.
Hey, I'm on the Willy Nilly screen.
Oh, now Topless Tuesday's in here. Hey, dude.
Oh, you're still on screen.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Oh!
Eli. What? Have a good day. Eli, just keep.
Elijah, do you see this little square right here, man? Do you see this? It's right here. That's you. Okay? Oh my god. Alright, get out.
He's crying to the back.
Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of wiener.
Okay, run out.
No. Now, like, showing it off for fun. Alright, I'm going to
All right.
stop recording now. Ready?
No.
One.
You're leave the Audacity on though. You can mute your camera if you want.
Okay.
Just up at the top, you should be able to hit mute on the camera.
Come on. Hey, I'm waiting.
You got that?
I'm
All
here.
right. All right. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is probably my favorite day. Okay.
You're editing it.
So
Get dressed.
we are going to go ahead and wrap it up.
Editing
We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. This has been a good episode, and then in the last 5 minutes, it's been the greatest thing that's ever happened
It's not my
on
fault.
Google Hangouts on air. So this is fantastic.
I'm just a really.
Thank you guys for listening. We've got a few other things that we could cover, but we're going to go ahead and cut it short right now. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week. I can't promise.
Stupid.
I can't promise that there won't be nudity apparently now. So we need to put a little parental advisory on all of our episodes. Yeah. But again, thank you guys for listening. Appreciate your just your support for the show. Let us know what games gave you a misleading first impression, whether you thought it was great, turned out to be not so great, or you thought it was not so great and it turned out to be one of your favorites. We want to hear about those. So, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Now that the nudity's gone, we're going to go ahead and sign off now. Now that everything's calm and quiet, now we'll wrap up this show. All right, guys, thanks for listening. See ya.
All right.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things here.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
I'm sorry. That could have happened. It could have happened to any of us, but it happened to you, and so it's funny.